The controller told us that these objects had been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space.
Is there a correlation between any of the characteristics of these UAPs, UFOs?
What we tend to see are the smaller vehicles tend to be, think of a sports car. The large ones tend to be, not always, but almost exclusively either triangular shape or boomerang shape.
Werewolves? I see dead people walking around like regular people. They don't see each other. They only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dead.
The UFO, UAP community was fairly surprised. Shocked might be a better word.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
Do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes, definitely. At Lane Cove.
When was this?
1953.
You don't think this is a figment of your imagination?
Several other people with me saw it.
I'm not wishing that all that stay with me.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
There is now a new UFO whistleblower with some major bombshell-level statements.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
This episode is brought to you by some amazing people. Tabin Rice, Eddie Tabb, Kelly Lewis, Mecca Mickey, Diane Boss, Jeanette Angel, and Dorothy Hawkins. And a special thank you to all the subscribers on YouTube and the followers on Spotify. If you wish to support the podcast on YouTube, you can hit that join button below to become an Eyes to That Sky member. Or if you want to join the Patreon or provide other support, the links are below in the show description. But now, on with the show. Welcome to the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast, where we explore the unexplained and mysterious phenomena that have occurred throughout the state of Michigan and beyond.
From UFO sightings to ghostly encounters, we delve deep into the stories, the evidence, and the theories behind these strange events.
We are your hosts. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Wayne.
We are an educator duo that after an encounter with a triangular UFO in 2018 in Michigan, we decided to investigate UFOs and the paranormal. In this podcast, we will be speaking with eyewitnesses, experts, and researchers to uncover the truth about some of the most intriguing cases of paranormal activity in and around Michigan.
Our goal is not to convince anyone of the existence of these phenomena, but rather to provide a platform for discussion and exploration. So, buckle up and join us on this journey down the paranormal rabbit hole.
On an escalator.
What is up, everybody? What is going on this Sunday evening? Hey, Michelle, what's going on?
I'm telling you, that's the rabbit hole before and after Lou.
Yeah, for real. And we're going to talk to Gemma about that when we get her on here in a minute. But hey, everybody, welcome. We see chat is lively, so thank you guys for joining us because we are coming to you live right now, anyways, from Southeast Michigan, within the great shadow of Motor City, Detroit, Michigan. And we are down in the bunker tonight, and we want to thank you for joining us on this episode. It is Sunday, August 25th, 2024, and our school year starts tomorrow.
No. His school year starts tomorrow.
Mine does, yeah.
I start on Tuesday, and I just feel like it's just a cluster right now.
I feel like the little kid that is screaming in the car, sitting outside the school with the mom trying to drag the kid out, going, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Yeah, he's the kid. I'm the mom.
Yeah. So, all right. So anyways, we got to do our quick housekeeping before we get Gemma on here. I know a lot of people are excited to have Gemma on. She's going to talk about her new books and all that. So we're going to get to that in a few. But last week we did have our 100th episode, and it was a hell of a conversation. And I just want to tell everybody, if you did not see that or watch it or listen to it, you know, that was with Dennis Stone, Jared Murphy, Michael Roser, and Tom Elmore. You need to get over onto our YouTube channel, go and click the live button, and you will see all of our previous live shows. Watch it. It's a great conversation. It was an awesome one. Yeah. 2.5 hours. And it was an awesome conversation. Ancient technology, ancient civilizations, all of that. It was a great round table. And you can also, as well, you guys all know this, but make sure if you want to listen to that, you just go over to your favorite podcasting platform and you can download the episode from there and just get the audio. All right. Michelle, if they want to contact us, how do they do that?
Email us at mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com. So we've heard some good stories lately, but we're still waiting for more.
Yeah, we want those personal stories. And then also, if you want to make a donation to the podcast, you can do so with PayPal, Super Chats, buy us a coffee, check out our merchandise store, or join the Patreon. All of those links can be found down below in that show description. And then let's see what else. Oh, yeah. So last week, I had a call to action for everybody, and I said, hey, everyone, you know, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because like 65% of you that watch the show are not subscribed. And we're trying to fight the shadow banning, because pretty much any show like ours that tries to talk about some of these, I don't want to say risque, but kind of
anything that's controversy,
yeah,
controversial.
Yeah.
You know, on the news, on the radio.
Yeah. So they like to hold people back a little bit. And of course, they still sell ads on all your stuff. But, you know, you don't see any of that revenue for quite a long time. And if you don't hit a certain number of subs on your channel, you don't get to get a little piece of what they're making off of you. So
they're doing what my mom used to say. They're telling us, put up your dukes.
Yeah.
Put up your dukes.
Well, I'll tell you what. Last week, according to the analytics, we had 65.1% of the people watching were not subscribed. And by the way, it's all free and stuff. You can subscribe. You don't have to become a member unless you want to make a monthly contribution. But when I checked before we went live, it is down to 52.8%. You guys flipped the script on them and brought that down by 13%. And this is why you guys are the best audience on YouTube. And so I was extremely fired up when I saw that. And we're extremely, extremely thankful. And we just want to thank everyone who subscribed within the last week or so to help us out. Every little bit helps and tries to get the show bigger. We can get bigger and more guests on. And, you know, Michelle and I do this on our free time with what little free time we have. And we enjoy doing it, and just making sure everybody's subscribed helps a lot, and it keeps us fired up. So yeah, thank you guys. You're the best. Michelle, what's that Spotify thing that they got there? What does that say?
Well, let's see. If you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure that you hit the follow button.
That's right, because Spotify is just like YouTube. They will kind of tuck your show away unless you have enough followers. And then if you have enough followers, they start recommending you out. So, all right, let's see. Where do we go next?
Oh, we got to go to chat and say hi to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to start it right at the top with Fred Littleton.
Okay.
We've got Fred in the house. We've got Diane Boss. We've got I See You. God, it sounds like so paranormal of a name. We've got...
Well, I See You, by the way, said earlier before the show started in chat. Yeah, people talk in our chat before the show even starts that he bought one of Gemma's books, or they bought one of Gemma's books.
Yeah, the Campfire one.
And really loved it. So
we've got Kelly Lewis with us tonight. We've got Tabin. We've got Friends with Monsters.
Yeah.
We've got, let's see. Oh, look, Gemma's in the chat too. She's multitasking. We've got Janine. We've got Mark Eddy. We've got...
Well, we got
Blue Crossroads, Rick Davis.
Yeah.
Dorothy Hawkins is with us.
Look at that.
She's nice and comfy in her recliner listening along.
Look at that. And she gave us a $2 super chat. She
Hey.
says, thanks for always having great guests like Gemma.
Thank you
Gemma's
so
one
much,
of the
Mama
best.
Dorothy. We've got EA saying in there, I see that teacher blues comment. Absolutely. Anything at the end of summer going back into fall, it's the teacher blues.
Yep.
We've got Ghost Dragon is with us tonight. And hey, there's Straw Dog.
Hey.
Rounding up chat for right now.
Hey, what about Woo Dog or Woo Riders DG?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see Woo Riders in there, DG. Hey, yo.
Right there. Hey, welcome. He says, hey, yo.
Keep it short and sweet. I got you.
All right. So tonight, obviously, you guys know it's why you're here. We got our favorite side chick. Get it? Side chick. Psychic side chick. Right? Gemma Jade to discuss her 2 new books and other happenings in the paranormal field, including UFOs and maybe her thoughts on another author who's out there making the rounds. So I wonder who that might be. Anyways, let's get her on here. And there she is.
You guys have me cracking up back there, I swear.
There's our sister from a different mister.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I thought you said side chick, and I'm like, Michelle told him that we're getting together. I mean, that I'm her side chick.
I'm sitting there, and he said that, and I'm just sitting there shaking my head, going, no,
side, PSY.
I've now outed us. I heard it right after like a second, and then I was like, oh, but I'm back here just in my glory because I was having like just one of those rough days, you know, what you were talking about with YouTube. And it's just like sometimes I just get really discouraged. Like, I've been doing this forever, I have no fans. And then people are just so sweet, like they always usually are in this community. So I definitely appreciate you guys so much. And I appreciate all of you all having me on. What is up, everybody? Tried to say hi to as many as I could in the chat, but these nails don't make it easy to type. So.
Yep. So, well, you know, Gemma, you've been a guest on here multiple times. So gotta say welcome back. It's great to have you back. It looks like you've been a little busy lately. What's going on?
So I've been trying to do as much as I could because I also am having school issues because I have a 6-year-old that I did not get his summer enrollment paperwork in on time. So he's been with me home all day, 6 days a week, all summer. So I really haven't been able to do much. So if you see like my shorts, I'm pushing out like hundreds of it at a time. Not able to do a lot. So what I can do is I'll stick Ghost Dragons on Fortnite with my little guy, and then I write. And that's like a lot of books have been coming out. And writing's always been my passion, even more so than YouTube, really. And to be able to combine both those things is just like something I really love to do. So I was really happy. Gone and Campfire 3 are the third each in each series. And Gone went like #1 overall for a couple hours, which was the first time that's ever happened besides Black Eyed Kids. So it was cool.
Awesome.
Well, I got a question for you before Wayne starts jumping in with questions because I know how busy you are, but I want to let you know
Oh, yeah.
that after, what was it? I wrote the curriculum for it and then I did a rewrite. I've been awarded the creative writing class back with about,
Really?
yeah, well, the class is small, but the way that I have it designed, I have a month-long project for September, October, November, and then the final project in December with like different little things along the way. But October is their suspenseful tales. They could do cryptid tales, they could do horror stories. So I was going to ask you if we find a free moment to be able to do like a Zoom call where you would talk to the class, being on the side of a writer just to kind of inspire them, because your stories align with exactly what I want to do with them for about 30 days.
I would absolutely love that. And, you know, during school season, in October, I'm like flattered, flustered. Yeah, my little guy's in school all day long, so I'm just here. So absolutely, I would be honored to do that.
Okay,
That's amazing.
we'll work
Thank
out the
you.
details when
Yeah.
it comes, but I would like those students in that second hour class. And I mean, we're talking probably around like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah. You just keep in touch with me. You have my number and all my
Okay.
stuff. Yeah, for
And we'll
sure. I
work
would
it out.
absolutely love that.
Sounds good. All right, Wayne, back over to you.
All right. All right. So, Gemma, I want to just get this out on the table now. You know, Mr. Luis Elizondo has released his book Imminent. And that was on the 20th of August. And he's recently been on Joe Rogan.
Okay.
I don't know if you've read his book or not. And
Not
I'm
yet.
Okay. All right. So I want to know, what are your thoughts about him releasing this book on the UFO UAP topic? And if it's not thoughts, what are your feelings or your intuition about what his book may be about, or what it's doing, or its purpose? Because it's all over the place when you see people's, responses and stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna kill me, but being in the paranormal community, the extraterrestrial stuff is periphery for me. So I know I've heard the name. I don't really even know who that is, except that I've heard his name a lot, and I've heard it on, like, people are very passionate one way or the other. I've never heard anyone say, like, I kind of like this guy. It's either, oh no, that guy, like, he's full of poop, or it's always very, like, intense emotions and feelings going around him, which is the reason I was going to get his book and read it, because I'm like, anyone stirring up this type of drama by just writing a book, that is so cool. But I don't know. I wish I did know who it is, because I always pick that stuff up and I always tend to just go with that on it. But I've only heard the name, like, in passing in the community.
Well, he used to do the circuit of all the smaller YouTube channels and stuff and do interviews. Being on Joe Rogan is obviously huge for him.
Huge.
But he caused, well, there was a lot of drama around with him. And if you want to dig into that, you can. I doubt he's going to talk about it in his book, other than, being threatened all the time, threats to his family because of what he was saying. Then people not believing him, show us the evidence already. And he would purposely get on these shows, talk about UFOs, but then he would never give a straight answer. It's like he's working for NASA, never a straight answer. And go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, the thing with that, I know, like, a lot of people who do that, and again, I don't know him particularly, but I will look into it. I see a lot of people doing that when, and again, I can't say for sure, but I've noticed a lot of people that have, like, blocked me for asking questions like, hey, can you prove that you're, I don't know, a remote viewer, or like, I can help you, or like just reaching out. I do find a lot of people in this community, it's very easy to fake your way through. And then when you end up somehow with a bigger audience, what else can you do but kind of, I don't know. I would have to look more into it. I don't want to make a blanket statement.
That's fine.
There's just been a lot of BS where people aren't showing the proof that they're able to show. And to me, that always immediately I start thinking, okay, this is BS. I mean, how could you not think that?
Yeah. So, and Michelle's over there pointing to herself. But
yeah, I mean,
well, your intuition that we've had, you on here before and many times before, and you've always been kind of, just right on the money a lot of the times and picking up on things. And that's the reason I just wanted to see like what your initial reaction would be, like, oh my God, this guy.
I will definitely get back to you on it though,
Yeah.
because like I said, I did hear about the book, and for someone who's wrapped up in so much controversy, again, like some people might be like, Gemma's okay. I've never heard anyone say that about him. It's either like, no, you've really got to hear what he has to say. This guy is legit. Or other people that are like, that effing F word, beep, 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 this guy, So I'm interested, and I'm definitely going to watch Joe Rogan podcast with him on it. So
yeah. So, well, yeah. The one thing I will tell you is he got kind of busted for having sock puppet accounts and going around and kind of going and attacking people that he thought was attacking him, and then saying it wasn't him, and then all of this stuff. So there was a lot of drama behind that. So
too much drama.
It is. It really is. Especially for somebody. And another thing is he's former counterintelligence and U.S. Army intelligence guy. So working for the Pentagon and things. But you'll find all that out once you get through his book.
Yeah, he's one of those people though, like just by the way you're explaining him, and like from the little bits and pieces I have heard, where it's like he could kind of say whatever he wants, and there will always be some people that will believe him simply because of his proximity to the Pentagon, or like what it is that he does. There are always going to be, he's always going to have some people that believe him. But I'm telling you right now, once I read this book and watch the interview, I will sniff out immediately if he's full of BS or not. It's gotten me in trouble before with other people in the community, where someone will be like, oh, how about have so-and-so on? And I'm like, oh no, they're a fraud. And like, before I even know it, like it's out, and the person's like, well, how do you even know? And I'm like, I've tried to converse with them. I've tried to ask them questions. And so sometimes it just comes out, but I will definitely sniff that out and get back to you.
All right. There we go. That's the one I wanted. That's better. Geez, StreamYard is being a little difficult today, and I wanted everybody to see the beauty that is Gemma Jade, as everybody already knows. Yeah, now Michelle and Gemma's hair color are matching, so
yes,
there we go.
I just need my hair that length.
I used to have that same haircut though. I had very short hair back in 2017, and it grew in so beautifully.
My hairdresser said it should be about a year and a half to get it all to my shoulders.
But once it gets there, I'm telling you, it's going to look absolutely gorgeous. I loved the way it grew in when I had that cut, for sure.
So that is my goal, at least to get it to my shoulders.
And we just went from psychics to hairdos.
Sorry, I can't help it.
You listen, rabbit holes and escalators. It doesn't matter to the topic.
That's right.
Side quests. Someone just asked me how I pick up coins. I have a 6-year-old for that. I mean,
and he's lower to the ground.
Yeah, so I'm just like, dude, I can't, my nails. It's to the point where he's like, your nails again? And I'm like, yeah, could you just, right there. Thanks.
So, well, it will know if you're typing because we'll hear it in the background, right?
I've learned to use the pads of my fingers because I used to not want long nails because I love typing and writing. And finally, I figured out a way. When there's a will, there's a way. And I did figure out a way that I can still type almost as fast with the nails on. And they're glue on, so I could just rip them off if they get in the way.
See, now I stopped doing acrylics and went to my natural nails, which are still kind of long, but I can't wait till I have to turn in my work laptop someday. I kind of cracked a couple of the keys in half, and now I have kitty cat like Scotch tape keeping the keys in like intact because my nails would cause me to sound like I was angry typing.
Wayne's rolling his eyes. Okay. Here's the thing. I'm doing a rebrand. I'm staying in the paranormal community for sure, and I'm going to do the same things that I always do. But one of the things I'm bringing in this fall or winter is a girl talk. You know how I say it? TAWLK talk.
Yeah.
Michelle, you are so coming on that.
Oh Jesus.
Okay.
You'll come in there and we'll talk about the paranormal, hair, nails, and the whole works.
Wow, that'll be really cool. Actually, I would want to watch that.
I got a bunch of chicks lined up.
Awesome.
Wayne might want to go lift weights in the basement for the night.
Yeah. I'll be watching on the TV downstairs. All right, Gemma, let's go ahead and get into this. Could you start by giving us a brief overview of Gone, Mysterious Disappearances, and Campfire Stories, and what inspired these new books?
So, okay, what inspired them was actually I lost a big deal writing contract and thousands of dollars a month overnight were just taken from me to like where now I'm surviving off YouTube ad revenue and donations and book sales. So my mentor was like, listen, you're a writer, write, just write, prolifically write, and don't stop. And I was like, oh, I can do that. So I started putting together, I started looking up, like, because I always have loved true crime, but for me, it's very hard because while I'm researching the cases, I always end up with the missing person if they're deceased with me. If they're not deceased, I can call on their higher self, but I can't give that information out. So true crime is very tricky for me. I don't need the cops at my door like, yo, how did you know this? Like, I'm not, me and cops, recovering addict. I don't do cops. I don't, so they make me nervous is all, But so what I found when I was looking through all of these cases is that no one wants to talk about like what could be happening. Everyone wants to stop at the end of the disappearance. So, for example, a little 3-year-old boy walking through the forest and there's no water or anything around and he's making all kinds of noise. Then suddenly the kid's no longer making noise. The entire forest is quiet and the kid's gone, never to be found, seen or heard from again. 20 years later, nobody knows where he went. All the parent did was blink. That's a great story. That's a tragic story. What happened? And I think, a lot of people are telling me, like, you don't want to go there because you don't want to offend, the families of the missing. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm trying to be like, look, if everything else has failed and has not worked, maybe some of these cases we should start looking into. And I'm like, I'm not going to be afraid to say what I, as a medium and as a sensitive, thinks happened here or what could have. I'm making no definitive statements, but I can tell you that this is the only book I'm aware of where we not only talk about the case, but I bring in the fact that a lot of the time I do think it's extraterrestrials. I got to be honest. I didn't realize till I went back and looked. I'm like, oh, ETs again. But there's sometimes portals or, demonic, unnatural spirits or the Fae. And I just needed to do it. I needed to do it for me because I was getting frustrated with people just bringing everyone up to the line and then being like, okay, see ya, there's the case. So that's where that came from. And as I dug deeper and deeper, the stories got crazier and crazier to the point where some of them I actually had to go and like make sure I wasn't being punked in a way. They were so bizarre that I was like, no, this has to be made up. But they're not. And I even put a little disclaimer in the beginning, like to the families. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be offensive or take away your pain, but I feel like we need to discuss all possibilities. And all possibilities includes the supernatural, paranormal, extraterrestrial, otherworldly, interdimensional, etc. 2 women, white both up at the same.
So this is where you and Michelle started now. So Blue Crossroads says, so if 2 women in white both show up at the same haunting, is that considered a fashion faux pas?
As long as it's not a haunted wedding, they're good.
Oh my God.
There you go. Yeah.
This is Michelle. My lake. No, this is my lake. I'm haunting this lake.
Chris in chat said only after Labor Day.
Yeah, the gerbil milker over there. 3.5 years had me convinced his literal job was milking gerbils. Like I honestly, now that I look back very naively, believed this. So when I'd be like, oh, my favorite gerbil milker, I meant it as a term of endearment, but I really thought that's what he did. And I'm like, you know, I'm a pretty smart woman, but I can be very gullible sometimes too. So that's another reason why I fact check, because like I want to believe it. But yeah, 3.5 years, I believed Chris Jarvis was an actual gerbil milker who did that as a job.
I mean, I've heard the joke before about like milking a cat.
Right.
The gerbil that one's new.
They all went along with it. Everyone in chat was like, oh yeah, man, how are your gerbils? Like, and I'm like, oh yeah, see, everybody else knows about it. Jarvis, I hope you're feeling better, my sweetheart.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
That is hilarious. All right. So the next question I have for you. Well, okay, I got to say this because once you started talking about the gerbil milker, I always have people tell me that they like to drink almond milk. Oh yeah, I don't drink milk. I just drink almond milk.
How do you milk an almond?
And I go, how do you milk an almond? Do you ever chew it and squeeze it or anything and see milk come out? No, it's water with a little bit of cream and a little almond extract in there. There's no.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I know you couldn't milk an almond, but I actually thought it was like shaved up liquefied almond. Like I don't do almond milk. Like I was actually talking about this yesterday. I was like, yeah, I tried to give it a chance. I can't.
It's disgusting.
My mother just recently found out that Louisiana was not a state all its own. Or not Louisiana, New Orleans. She's like, I gotta go to New Orleans before I leave this mortal plane. And I'm like, oh, Louisiana. She's like, New Orleans. I'm like, Mom, like, you're not serious, are you? So I guess sometimes, you know, our brain kind of farts and skips a beat, and it's all right. We've all been there, Wayne. Don't worry about it.
Yes, it does.
Well,
yes,
at least she didn't call New Orleans a continent.
Or that. Yes.
Yep. All right. So you delve into some mysterious disappearances and Gone. So what draws you to this particular theme, and how do you approach the research of such a gripping topic?
What draws me a lot of the time is the victims. Because let's make no mistake, they are victims, whether they end up deceased, whether they end up on this new earth I keep hearing so much about from my guides and my team, and I'm trying to figure that out. Wherever they end up, they were taken from here, and a lot of the time it's kids, and I do have a heart for small kids, but really it's like being approached. You know, if I'm going through, because I'm head writer for Missing Persons Mysteries channel, so if I'm going through researching something that Bill over there asked me to look for, I'll see, like, Eric Lewis is the great example. He was like case number 1 in the first Gone book, and I'll kind of get on this side quest, and then boom, Eric Lewis, and then I'm like having this conversation. Being a medium, I don't shut myself down to write. A lot of the time it is a visitation. At other times it's just like, I'm like, oh, I know what happened here, but then I have to figure out a way to put it where I can explain it. And that's the only part for me that's hard, because there's always going to be someone that's like, well, prove that. And I'm like, well, I can't prove that Eric Lewis was, you know, taken by the Fae. How could I? And that's the thing in this community, right? So it's like really hard to prove things. So with this, I just kind of tried to tell the story as succinctly as possible, you know, short and sweet and to the point, and put my little spin on it of what I really do genuinely believe happened. And honestly, writing it just comes natural to me. Just being able to, I tend to write the way that I talk. So I think, like, I've heard that that's more engaging sometimes, like the people that know me can like hear it in their heads, but really just wanting people to be more open, because these disappearances are still happening. It's not like this was an influx of disappearances that happened between, you know, this time and this time. This is still going on. And, you know, if we're not looking at all of the the reasons why it could be happening, it's bound to continue happening. And I know it sounds strange, but if we go into the woods knowing that there are, fae that may not like us, knowing that there are portals, knowing that sometimes in some places there are, forest spirits that may not want us there, going in at least prepared with that knowledge and maybe how to protect ourselves a little bit, we'll see less of these cases. It really is kind of that complicated, but that's simple for me. I really want the information to get out there, and I really want people to understand that there's more than what we see. I mean, I don't know how many other ways to say it.
Yeah, I'm kind of hung up a little bit on when you said that you found that some, or at least you think that maybe some of these are actual like UFO abductions. And it took me back to the Rogan interview with Elizondo, and they were talking about how, and this was very fascinating, and I didn't even know this, like zookeepers in China, when they want to go into the panda exhibit, right, and they need to administer drugs to the pandas or whatever, examine them, they put on panda suits, right, and the pandas don't seem to mind it at all. Now it looks funny as hell, but one of them looks like a little alien, like the eyes, the way the eyes are shaped and everything, it looks like an alien. And it's like, are these things seriously? I mean, a kid would being abducted by an alien would probably be one of your best bets, because you would be easily, you could easily sedate them, and their memories, they would forget later, I would think, right?
Yeah,
So it's almost like if these things are following us, if they're mixing with us, it could be I mean, I don't know how, where do you draw the line between a UAP, UFO, extraterrestrial, and some type of spirit that's already here running around and mingling and causing trouble or whatever. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? This is just something that came to mind.
For me, for the most part, all of these beings, creatures, whether it's spirit, whether it's, demonic, the fae, elemental, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, doesn't matter. For me, there's ways that they come and go. There are extraterrestrials that live among us at all times. They all, different races of them that are here for different things, but they can come and go as they please through portal activity. And for me, like, if you really think about it, what do you think? Like, if you're sitting here and you blink and then suddenly I'm just gone, or we're walking in the woods and we're picking berries and suddenly I'm gone. Whoosh. At least that's what I think. Sucked right up, right? And a lot of the time it's just like the portal. Oh, it's like, oh, that kid has something special. Portal opens up, and it's not like this sparkly mirage in front of us. Sometimes it definitely is. But for a little kid, they're going to run towards that. So many kids that have been missing for X amount of time only to be found again. And I do cover some of those in the Gone books. It's not all people who were never seen again. A lot of them have no memory, or they have these bizarre memories of like a bear feeding them and mothering them. The robot granny incident that a lot of people don't, what's robot granny? Yeah, that a lot of people don't really believe. But I see, this is where it gets tricky for me. I feel things out. So if your case doesn't feel right to me, I'm not going to cover it because I don't believe you, even though I won't be so unkind as to say that. If they're in this book, I believe that they happened. And besides things like robot granny, mostly they're factual. They can be checked. But for me, there really is no line. The line is just always blurred all of the time. If it's a spirit, I'm more likely to pick it up. But I can still pick up ETs. I can sense portals, cryptid. I'm getting better. I am working on being able to communicate with cryptid by choice, rather than like I'm laying here and there's something out in the woods behind my house trying to get to me. It's a learning process. I just think at the end of the day, the most important thing is that we pay attention like to every possibility, and we understand that supernatural, paranormal, extraterrestrial, otherworldly are in the realm of possibility. We're in 2024. There's no excuse for not even considering it anymore, at least in my opinion.
Well, just because it's 2024 doesn't mean that things aren't getting weird. It seems like it's getting weirder and weirder the further we go along.
Yeah,
And it's,
it is.
yeah.
It is. And there's big reasoning for that too. You know, just based on the collective. I did a video the other day on like soul contracts, life's purposes. So the people that, you know, the dark spirits, the dark souls that have no contract, they have no guides, they have nothing except darkness in this life. Those are the people that do these horrible things. And they have no one to answer to. They've kind of taken over the collective, and there is an evil that's kind of rippling through our community right now. And I don't mean like this YouTube community. I mean, as light workers, as we are. And trust me, if you're in this community, more than likely you are a light worker to some degree. You guys definitely are. Michelle, you definitely are. Just these they're infiltrating us, and it's changing the collective. And I can physically see this happening with my eyes, and it's very hard to explain, but I feel like in the next year or two, it is going to shift back to where we can breathe again and things aren't so insane. And I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but I guess it's just because it's been bothering me lately. Every time I walk outside, it looks like the world has this layer of filth all over it, and or like grease or something. And then I have to wait a couple minutes, my eyes adjust, and then I see things like a normal person would see them. I want to get back to the days where I walk outside and don't see that as much. It's like having on dirty glasses. And that's how I know that, like, okay, there's evil afoot. Like there's people don't understand. They're around us all the time, and they're in our ear all the time. Like, yeah, go ahead, you know, pick up that drug, or yeah, you know, that is not you telling yourself that. That is a literal outside entity outside of yourself trying to pull you off track.
Well, I mean,
sorry.
Well, no, that's cool, because if you extrapolate that out, and if you just look at the world from like a geopolitical view, okay, we've got the war in Ukraine and Russia still going on. That could be going crazy, hundreds of thousands of people dying. We have China playing its games with not only eyeballing Taiwan, but also basically running child labor camps down in Africa for the cobalt mining, right? And God only knows what machinations they're doing. We have an election year, so in November we're going to have people voting for either Hitler or Stalin. You know, you take your pick. It doesn't really matter. You know, whoever's going to vote for whoever, it doesn't matter. What else do we have going on? We got two guys trapped up in the space station, wondering how we're going to get those guys back.
Yeah. It's because the
world,
darkness has taken over.
It's a darkness.
I'm sorry. I see you. I said bye because I thought you said that you were checking out. So I was just trying to be polite. I said bye. I wasn't telling you to leave. I'm sorry.
Who's going to check out the robot granny thing?
I can very briefly give a recap of Robot.
Well, you can't float that out there without explaining it to our audience. So
I never talked about that on here. Okay, so Robot Granny, there's a little boy, and here's one of the issues that people have with it is that his parents only will allow him to be known as John Doe, even in the original newspaper reports. So little John Doe is like 3 years old. He's with his family. He's camping. I think it might have been by Mount Shasta, but I'm not 100% sure. It's at a place where a lot of these disappearances are happening. And I believe I put it in this book in Gone 3. So he goes missing, and he's missing for like 5 hours. And there's this whole search party. The authorities are called in. His mom and dad obviously are frantic. The little boy is found like standing at the edge of like this hiking trail where like it was searched like 100 times, and all of a sudden he's there. The little boy really didn't talk much about what happened. They took him to the hospital. They're like, thank God he's found. Let's bring him home. Who cares what happened, right? They're relieved. Their 3-year-old is fine. As the weeks progressed from when he got back from that, though, he was telling these crazy stories, and his father's mother, so his paternal grandmother, her name was Kathy, and he would call her Grandma Cappy because he couldn't pronounce Kathy. She had him over one day. She was babysitting, and he's staring at her, like creepily staring at her. And she's like, what's going on? And he's like, I don't like that other Grandma Cappy. I like you a lot better. She scared me. And the grandmother's like, what do you mean? The other grandmother that this kid had was not named Kathy. There should have been nobody else. He was calling Grandma Cappy. He's like, yeah, when he's like, when you came out of the woods and told me to come with you, and you brought me into the cave with all the spiders and guns, there were guns or something. He goes, and then I realized it wasn't you when sparks started coming out of the back of your head like a robot. And then he's telling her that this robot Grandma Cappy told him to poop on a piece of paper. And when he started to cry and said he couldn't just poop like that on a piece of paper, she got really angry at him and brought him back out to that trail and said, don't move until somebody comes and finds you, and kind of disappeared off into the distance. She had also told him, this Grandma Cappy, that he had been implanted in his mother's womb. He was from outer space. This is a 3-year-old kid who was really, the grandmother was pissed. She called her son and was like, what are you letting him watch? Like, this is not okay. Like, you need to like monitor him more. And he's like, he doesn't watch anything like that. Like, I promise. He's like, but he did mention that to me too, but I just kind of brushed it off. And the grandmother, as she's having this conversation, she's like, oh my gosh, she happened to be fly fishing at around the same spot where the little boy got taken for a few hours. I think it was 5 hours, like 6 months. Some say 6 months, some say a month, some say a year. She was fly fishing with a friend of hers, camping in around the same area of this mountain. And she and her friend were in separate tents, but right next to each other. They were kind of whispering through the tents. They had heard strange noises that didn't sound like animals that they were familiar with. They look out of the tent. I know I said short story, but I'm verbose. So
no, it's good.
They see these weird beady red eyes, like glistening dark bright green eyes, like nothing that should be there in the middle of the night, right? Even a deer, like they were like, oh, it must be, they're trying to convince themselves because they want to go to sleep, right? So they're saying, oh, it's just deer, and the reflection of our fire is making their eyes look that way. Anyway, Grandma Cappy wakes up the next day about 3 feet away from her tent, face down on the ground, with a searing pain in the back of her neck that she attributed to a spider bite, but was thinking more about it. She and her friend had the same marks, and they looked like needle marks. So she's starting to think my DNA was taken so that somebody can pretend to be me to get my grandson. So then it leads to this thing where, like, were these people kind of lured out there with this little boy? And why did this grandmother need his poop? And why were they telling him he was implanted? Like, a 3-year-old is not going to say, and he named a particular planet too, which I can't remember off the top of my head because it was such a bizarre name. Where is a 3-year-old getting this from? Like, my 6-year-old may have that kind of imagination because I'm his mom, but I think average 3-year-olds, and I think it's been a while, like maybe 5-6 years now since this whole incident happened. And the little kid stands firm in what happened to him. And now he articulates a little bit better that he was taken into this cave. They were robots, but they were actually extraterrestrials. And the one only looked like his grandmother. That is Robot Granny.
That is one of the best sales pitches for your book you could possibly have.
Yeah.
That is
in
awesome. There you go. A poop story, as Shelley Montgomery was saying.
Oh my.
Well, Shelley knows me well enough to know that on Friday night live stream where I'm doing Intuitive Oracle, I say poop at least 40 times a night. So that's kind of like my word. I'm poop, I guess. I don't know.
Well, she said, so this is what kind of show this is.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
100%.
Yep. We're not shadow banned. We're just poop
How we
banned.
roll. Yeah.
And all I can think of is what Adam Sandler, she called the shit poop.
Yeah. Yes. Was it Billy Madison?
That was Billy Madison.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back
Yep.
to
Yep.
school. That's how I feel.
They're coming out with a part 2 of that, by the way. I'm just saying it's being filmed in New Jersey.
Oh,
no
I know
way.
y'all are jealous that I'm going to go watch some of it be filmed, but
absolutely.
Yeah, we are. I think, Michelle, it's road trip time to Jersey.
I'm good with that.
All right. So in that Campfire Stories, or no, we just did that one. With the rise of true crime and paranormal interest, how do you ensure your work remains unique and fresh while appealing to your audience?
okay, so God bless you. One of the things I haven't started doing yet, but I know that I need to do, and as soon as I get back to full time, I'm going to be doing in this book particularly, and the Campfire Stories volumes 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to be putting in the Audible version a hyperlink to each like I will be narrating under like maybe like some candlelight with a different background in a, you know, much softer voice, each and every story, so that the person reading my book can be connected to my channel. I try to put out a lot of shorts explaining who I am, what I do. I respond to emails. I usually give people my phone number to text with me. I try to stay very closely connected to my audience. And also, I feel like the proof is in the pudding. I mean, I have never once in 3.5 to 4 years been wrong about a single reading ever in my live stream. And I kind of run on that. And, you know, I just try to stay relevant by pushing out as much content as I possibly can and answering questions directly and honestly. You know, the other night someone was like, well, if you're a psychic, then how do you not know that my real name is Jennifer and I'm from this place and I talked to you the other night under this name? And I was like, I'm not a psychic. I'm a psychic knower, you know, and I did say in the beginning, I was saying psychic medium because I didn't know there was a difference. It's just being as honest as possible and trying to stay relevant through my content.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool though, with the reading the book like that and then having it linked. That's really cool.
Yeah, because I feel like while a lot of people on my channel know about my books, a lot of people coming across my books, I don't think they know about my channel. Like it says Gemma Jade is on YouTube. So this is like the perfect opportunity to kind of bring in some new people, because I've been on YouTube for 4 years and I'm only now hitting 5,000 subs. So for me, that's not a lot. I have thousands of videos, right? So just staying relevant through my content, being honest. And one of the major things for me, sometimes it gets hard, is standing in my own truth. I don't have to be in my truth to attack what you're doing. You can have a totally different experience and a different opinion of things. Even if I know it's facts, I don't feel the need, like a lot of people come after me about like the way I look or the way I dress or the way I sound, but they never come after my information. And I feel like I don't have to come at you. We should all be able to coexist. And I'm trying to cultivate that kind of community around me too, which is one of the reasons I love hanging out with you guys. You guys are my favorite people to do an interview with, because I feel very comfortable in myself. No, I really do. And I think I said it last time too, you're one of the first people who ever interviewed me. And I just feel like we all need to just come together. And for me, it's just about, again, keeping myself relevant through the content and letting the content speak for itself. And if anyone has questions, I'm open. I'm not one of those people that's like, you know, not available for you.
Well, you know what? There you go. There's some great evidence right there for everybody about the whole, how the shadow banning works. Gemma's been doing this for years. She has multiple books out there. And 5,000 subscribers. That's crazy. It's because it's not being put out there.
I have almost 3,000 things of content. So between shorts and videos, I have a regular upload schedule. I have 13 books, 10 of which are bestsellers or have been bestsellers, you know, and like you're saying, I don't get it. And that's why today I was feeling really down on myself. I'm like, look at this person is sitting here like chasing a chicken and they've got like 3 million views and they're, you know, I can't even get a sponsorship, and it gets discouraging.
If you were milking gerbils, you would have 1 million subscribers.
Well, that's what makes me so angry, because I'm like, I'm trying to be truthful and honest, and I'm trying to present accurate information. I take pride in my work, and I'm like, people are like, oh, who's Gemma, you know, and all I get is like, oh, you look like you're a street walker with your clothes, or your voice sounds like a cat got dragged 10 miles by a train and it screamed the whole time. Please start a gas leak in your house and make sure all the windows are closed. And I'm like, I'm just trying to be kind. You know? Wow. But you're right. That is shadow banning. It is a YouTube not wanting to push my content out because I'm not making them enough money. I make 45 cents per month off of every pre-recorded I do, which I put 8 to 10 hours of work into.
Yep. Yeah.
But I believe in myself, and I feel like at some point I'm going to be a big deal. I will get on the travel channel yet. I'm going to Para Unity in October, and I'm hoping, or November, and I'm hoping to get a table there, maybe meet and greet some people who are in the area. So
I have a goal for Wayne and I. Wayne, tell Gemma what my goal is for us.
I have no idea.
What show to end up on?
Rogan?
Absolutely.
Well, we need a
Really?
book
Mine is
for
George
that.
Nori. I got to be on Coast to Coast AM.
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah,
to be
we'll
putting
talk about
energy
that.
out there for you guys to get on there. You guys deserve to be on there a lot more than a lot of his guests, to be honest with you.
Well, you know, and I'm so happy to have you on here because and I don't know if it's the coincidence or whatever, but by having you on tonight, my brain's been in this mode of like, we should write a book about what happened and then where we're at now and how we got there. And Michelle's like, oh, you want to write a book? I'm like, yeah, I think we should write a book. That way we have something to put out there. And
I can
you
help
know,
you guys with the self-publishing, or I can give you contact info for BTF, who were my publishers. I only broke away from them simply because I wanted to try to self-publish. So there was no like, I would hook you guys up and help you as much as I could if you decided to do that. So keep that on
we
the back
could talk.
burner and let me know. I will help in any way. I would love to see that.
That's awesome because yeah, I think that's gonna be something we're gonna talk about, and we'll talk to you offline more about it.
Yeah.
And see. So jumping back to Campfire Stories real quick, do you have a favorite story from the book? And if so, what makes it stand out for you? And you already talked about Robot Granny, so that would have been mine because of the word poop.
I
But
think I put that in the Gone books, though. Campfire Stories.
Okay.
Just so you guys know, I put out like 6 books all at once. That's why it's confusing. The
Yeah.
Gone and Campfire went number 1 on the same, like within a couple of hours of each other. One was 1, one was 2. And it was
Okay.
just because I was trying to cheer myself up by being like, I can at least sell books, you know? But so my favorite campfire story, I would say, is anything having to do with the Glimmer Man, the translucent entity, which is what started it all for me. I did that cringy video where I'm like, you guys aren't going to believe me. And I wish I could do that all over again. At that time, I wasn't talking about being a medium. I was very uncomfortable with my gifts. I was feeling the community out with my experience to see how they would accept me. And that video started it all. It's the most viewed video on my channel. So anything having to do with the Glimmer Man, particularly, I've seen several stories where people in tree houses being accosted or attacked at night by these creatures, and, you know, how the people who made Predator back in the 80s got it exactly right. I don't know. My favorite one of like mysterious disappearances, honestly, there are just so many. Robot Granny is one of the ones that really stands out to me. But there's also, okay, I've got one. So this another little kid, a little boy. I'm a total boy mom. I have 5 boys. So like, I always think of like my own sons. This little boy was with his family. He was camping. Now, this boy did not go far away from his mother. He was like he called himself, or his mother called him, a mother's boy, so a mama's boy. And he was like 5 or 6 years old. And the mother, they were there for a couple of weeks with the family camping in a very remote area. The little boy had brought his brand new, you know, those red trikeys that they had back in the day. This happened in like the 70s, the 3-wheeled trikeys. And the mother had to like go, you know, 50 feet away to go to the bathroom, and the boy's father was taking the truck one way in, same way out. So there's just this one entrance, which is also the exit to where they were camping. Nobody around, but there were like 25 family members there. The father, he was upset the mother was leaving, so the father's like, look, I got to run to town, to the store, whatever. And the kid's like, I want to go with daddy. The dad's like, no, you stay here, your mom will be right back. The mom comes back and tells him, just ride your bike. And he's like, I'm going after daddy. He jumps on his trike. He starts riding as fast as he can. You know, the mother knows he's not going to catch up with the dad, but he's right there. The father drives out of the camping ground. The mother goes like this, picks something up, turns around. Kid is completely and totally gone. They find his bike about 2 hours later, sitting perfectly straight up as though someone placed it there in the dump area, like the garbage area of this camp. But there was no way in without passing the mother, and no way out. And he went missing. She said, I yelled to him, be careful, sweetie. I went and I grabbed a stick because she was doing something with the clothes. I looked back and my son was literally gone. And the narrative I've been seeing, or I was seeing, was that he was running, must have been trying to escape, run away from something. I think he was running towards something. I think something was luring him, maybe like the Robot Granny thing where he thought it was his dad. I had an experience when I was 5 years old with the Fae. It was my first experience that I recognized them for what they are, where I was lured away into the woods at Garrett Mountain in Patterson, my hometown, right here in Jersey, by a child. I thought it was another child. I popped out of the bushes a few hours later, I guess. I thought it had been 3 minutes. My father was crying. The police were there. My dad's like, you know, you can't ever do that to me. I was like, I was so confused because I had just gone for a walk with this kid, and they showed me where they lived, and it did kind of look portalish, and I turned and ran away because I was scared. I had been gone like 5 hours. But I was like, you know, they were sparkly and pretty, and he was interesting, and I didn't have friends because I was like a weird kid who talked to dead people and saw the Fae. So for me, it was like, ooh, playmate. So I can kind of relate to that, like being lured by the beauty of them.
Wow. Yeah. I remember when you first told us about that, and that was, I mean, that has like so many like UFO abduction like things attached to it too, like missing time.
Yeah.
You know, for you it was a couple minutes playing, you know, going off with a kid. For everybody else it was 5 hours.
5
3
hours.
hours. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's what causes so much confusion is this. There's this crossover and this bleed through. Is it spiritual? Is it demonic? Is it angelic? Is it aliens? What is an alien? Are they coming from our oceans? We only know about 10% or less than 10% of our oceans, and most of that's just around the coast.
There's
And
a lot
that's it.
going on in our oceans that I am very aware of. There are definitely underground bases. There are ETs, extraterrestrial races that live down there. Mermaids are a real thing, like, but they're not what you think. They're not aerial. Like all of these things I say, and I feel comfortable saying to you guys as my knowledge from my guides, my experiences, and just what I innately know as a seer and an intuitive and an oracle. But a lot of people don't believe me, and I always say, well, that's fine, but I'm telling you, there are things going on under the ocean. A lot of the time when people are abducted, this is what I've learned, and I've only learned it very recently, like the last 6 months. When people are being abducted by extraterrestrials, regardless of where they're taken from, it doesn't matter. They're thinking that they're being brought like to a spaceship or to like a, you know, outer space where these experiments are going on. 80 something percent of the time, I would say they're being brought underwater. They're being brought under the ocean, under, you know, whatever the water sources we can't explore. It just is just like underground. Okay. Like, yeah, we know like there's the core of the earth and but there are also races of extraterrestrial. When they say, oh, the Greys are from underground, they were driven underground. Well, where do you think underground is? Underground on another planet? No, they're here. They're just in an alternate dimension from us that they've figured out how to cross over into. There is a new earth. A lot of people going missing in the wilderness, like the little kids, they suddenly find themselves in this place that looks almost exactly the same, but there are creatures or beings that are telling them basically assimilates, or we can send you back through and you die. You can stay here in this new place, and they're experimenting with a new earth. Why are they picking the people they're picking? I have no idea, but that's something else. And I really do believe that these things, years from now, however long it is, people are going to be like, Gemma Jade warned us about that. Gemma Jade told us that was happening. You know, just like the election, I'll talk to you guys after because I would never say this publicly, but I know who right now, the collective, like is going to win. And I'm hoping and praying free will doesn't change it. We'll just say that. But I get these hits of things. So for me, it's so obvious that something else is going on. And then you get people like my husband who literally laugh in my face and will mock me for my knowledge. And he doesn't mean to. It's just that he's from a different era, and he just, to him, it sounds so ridiculous. And for me, it sounds ridiculous not to believe it. How could you not believe what is right before your eyes?
Yep. All right. So to what you're saying, Gemma, and maybe this will help people understand. I'm going to share something. I want everybody to see this, and it's probably going to shock you guys. But it says, let me turn off the top thing here. So I asked it, how many people go missing every year in the United States. Statistics of missing persons by the United States. 600,000 people every year. That's over 500,000 people every year go missing. That is insane. If you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me there's not something going on. Okay. All right, fine. Some of it could be cartel stuff. Some of it could be human trafficking.
Of course, there's the regular answers. Yeah.
Exactly. But this is not.
And remember, that doesn't include like national parks, because they still don't, I don't care what anyone says, they still are not keeping records of all of the missing in the parks. Here's the thing I want people to maybe understand, if you can wrap your head around it. When you see like a ghost, what you call a ghost or a spirit, it's usually floating a few inches above the ground. It's not floating. It's walking on its own plane that is around us all the time. These other worlds, the other side, people think if you call it heaven, whatever you call it, is up. No, it's right here. It's just we can't see it. There's plane after plane after plane. And we as humans have these, I would describe it as funnel. So when these darker entities are around and you're wide open, particularly with abilities, they just suck right in and they're going to give you a bad idea. And I know it sounds ridiculous, like the boogeyman, but I'm telling you, like, where do they think all of these people are going? They're all dying. They all can just, again, not all of them are mysterious, but I guarantee you at least 150,000 of those can be put in this Gone book. And maybe more. Where are they going? What's happening? And nobody notices. Nobody's noticing. You brought it to everyone's attention, even people in this community, right? Yeah. I didn't even know it was that many, but I'm not surprised.
Right. It really is. It's just amazing. That's how many people every year. I mean, in 2 years, you've lost 1.2 million people out of your population.
And unless it directly affects you, you're not thinking about it.
I guess. All right. So the next question I have is, now this could be really interesting. I don't know where you want to go with this, so you take it to wherever you feel you need to go. But can you share any behind the scenes stories or challenges you faced while writing these new books? I'm talking visits. I'm talking, weird stuff. I mean, you go where you want with this. I thought that would be a cool question to ask.
That is really cool. So with Campfire Stories, I was rewriting listener encounters. So that was what people sent me. And just like anyone else, I read through it, envisioned it in my head. But with Gone, it was a whole different experience. You guys, I'm to the point sometimes where I will be watching a documentary on, for example, like Biggie and Tupac, and I get a visit from one in my room talking to me. That's where I'm at, where that's one of the reasons I don't cover as much true crime on my channel anymore. I end up getting visits and I don't mind, but at the same time, it's uncomfortable. Like, imagine knowing what happened to Gabby Petito 3 weeks before the rest of the world did, and you can't say anything because you can't say nothing. I would say I got a visit. If there are 20 stories in this book, I must have got a visitation by 14 of them. Just telling me their story, telling me what happened. Some of them told me like what happened up to a point, and then it was like, I'm not allowed to know. It's like it'll be revealed. These are the people that ended up in the new Earth, that I'm just calling it the new Earth. That's what they refer to it as. It's the exact same as here, but it's like we have failed as a species. So they're taking as many as they can to, move them, I guess, into like out of this matrix, right? It's the visitations from the little kids that's like really hard for me a lot of the time. But I deal with it and I'm kind to them and I speak to them. And if they're visiting me, then I know that they've crossed over. So they're in good hands. They're on the other side. I will say one of the things that happened during Campfire that I think would be very interesting to people is, so I always tell you guys when I'm on this, like I say it all the time. I live in like a fairy tale house in the middle of the woods, like the Snow White house where there's nothing but woods. That's my house. When I was going through Campfire Stories, there was so much more evil in the woods. So normally, like, I see things come and go. I know things are there. They can't get onto my property. I do what I need to do to protect myself and my family and my home. It was like 10 times more as I looked into it, right? So if I was looking into, like, say, the Glimmer Man, I'm getting more and more images in my mind of, like, I know there's one out there right now, and it's pissed off that I'm talking about it. It's pissed off that I'm writing about it. That was my biggest fear with the BEK books, was that they were going to come knocking, and I still fear that. So I have a lot more activity and would have more in my home and in my life had I not been protecting my land the way I was. So even rewriting the stories, putting the information out there. And for me, I'm like, I am this teeny tiny little speck in this community, but I do feel like I have people's respect and people trust me, and they come to me because they know I'm not going to BS them, and I will tell them like it is, whether it's good news or bad news. I get tasked with telling people, your spouse is going to die in 3 months sometimes, but that's the message. I have to give it. That was really hard for me. And it's actually still going on. I'm even tearing up because I'm like thinking about like how bad it got for a little while. Whereas like, I didn't even want to go outside because I don't even think it was one specific thing. It was a buildup of like all of these evil, this negative, nasty energy and these entities, and particularly the elementals, I will say, like the fae, the elemental creatures. I mean, I had water issues. I had issues with like, we thought the septic was going to explode. All of a sudden the mushroom rings in my yard are like broken down, and like, yeah, it could happen through like, an accident, but they looked deliberately like they were messing with me, man. Like they were picking on me, like, this chick wants to tell on us, we're gonna get her. They couldn't get in my house, but God forbid they did. So it's always an adventure researching this, and that's for any normal person, regular person without ability, as well as for me. But for me, it really ramps up, and I really have to protect myself from it. But I got visitations from a lot of cool people with these books that I would have loved to have known while they were alive. They're just cool.
Yeah. Oh, see, I always worry, like if we start writing a book and we start getting watched or whatever, and start getting that knock on the door about,
I'll
you
teach
really
you how to
don't
protect yourself.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do some. I mean, I got plenty of
You'll always be
firearms
on your
stuff.
periphery. Yeah, firearms. Well, honey, those are not going to work. But your girl Gemma can send you a little package with a little thing on how to use it, just to keep your own energy protected. We laugh, but it is something you should do if you're going to be researching into things like this and writing about them, because you guys are sensitive. I say specifically, Michelle, I've talked to you about this, but we just have not had the time to hook up on the outside of live streams. But you do have very strong ability. So I would watch you more than I'd watch Wayne with bringing that kind of stuff on. And attracting it to you. Your light is very big. So the minute like you put thoughts out there, one of the things I do want to tell you is that with as big as your light is, how bright it is, and the ability you have, your manifesting ability should be like this. If you pick up like a 369 book or something like this on Amazon, it's like $7, and fill this out, I think it'll be really good for you. I think you'll start seeing things happening that you want much quicker because of your ability. So it's not just for attracting the negative when you're looking into it. It's also you will well attract the positive more so than someone else, just by thinking it, just by owning it and expecting it.
Well, all right. So Gemma, one of the things I got to say is when you were just talking about being just a little speck in all of this and stuff, it reminded me of a quote, and I thought it was a Chinese proverb, but it's not. It's Carl Jung, and he said, "The brighter the light, the darker the shadow."
Yeah.
So you're very, very much a light worker, as you said, and you're very bright, and I think that's gonna, that even though you're just a little person. In the grand scheme of things, it's going to draw those darker, the dark shadows towards you.
It always has,
Yeah.
I've been tormented since a kid, and it was really hard growing up in a house with an Irish Catholic dad, and then my mother is Native American, or I don't know the politically correct way of saying that, Native Indian, but my dad would be really mean to me about it, which is weird because, like, I'm daddy's girl, right? I'm mommy's girl too, but when it came to that one thing, even nowadays, like if my grandmother, his mom, comes to visit me and is like, you need to tell your father this, I have to call him and tell him, Daddy, I had a dream about grandma, and this is what she said. Because if I say grandma visited me, like while I was watching TV, he'll be like, stop with your artard crap and hang up on me.
Oh my God.
But if I call him and say, I had a dream about grandma, he'll be like, oh my gosh, what did she say? I'm going to have to follow her instruction. And growing up like that, plus like the other kids, teachers were like, she doesn't play. And I'm like, I'm playing with other kids. What are you talking about? I didn't know they were dead. Like, they were cool. They were just, you meet a lot of cool dead people, but I'm getting older. Okay. So the blood transfusions, the constant illnesses, losing my hair, that comes with being a medium, because my live energy is always being fed off of, even if it's a cool dead person that wants to be taught about Netflix and PS5 and like hang out with me for a few days. I love it, but they are feeding off of me. And as I get older, it does start to affect me physically.
Yeah. Well, you talk about Michelle and her abilities. We've had her now test it with Brian Bowden on here live, and she's one hell of a remote viewer, and it is scary. And you two need to get together to talk about it, because she saw in her head a picture of a castle and women and a bridge and stuff, and it was in the sealed envelope that Brian had. He pulls it out. It's a castle in like Germany, right? And she saw this, but the rest of the stuff, and I think there was a bridge and stuff in the picture. But what was bizarre was what happened the next morning. She wakes up, she goes on Facebook, she's scrolling through. Here's a local news article from Detroit talking about a guy who lives basically up the road from us here was captured and imprisoned for throwing 2 women off of a bridge in Germany. One fell to her death, one survived and hung on. And the picture in the article in the bridge was the castle.
Oh my gosh. And do you know how strange, like, not strange, didn't mean to say that. I was going to say it's strange because of how rare remote viewing actually is. There's people on YouTube right now that I know for a fact are not remote viewers that are making a lot of money and gaining a lot of traction, pretending to be. Remote viewing is so rare and it's so hard. It's not an ability you see all the time. And that's something that fascinates me. I remote viewed, like I used to think in my teenage years, it was cool to like go roam military bases and stuff. And like, because I got caught by one of the military remote viewers and I ended up getting pushed out. And I ended up, when I came back into myself, it was painful. And I never remote viewed again. But I have not met since then more than maybe one like actual remote viewer. It's a very rare gift. And I knew it. I knew something because people with ability look different to me.
I always just, claimed it was like intuition. So it was always just intuition to me. Even when I was a teenager, I could not necessarily predict things, but kind of put puzzle pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
That other people
when others didn't necessarily have the answers.
You're sensitive. And I believe we're all drawn into this community, the people on YouTube who are serious about it and the people in chat. I always tell the people on my Friday night stream, like, we are a soul family. That's why you'll never see me on some certain people's shows and you'll never see them on mine. We do things differently. I respect them as creators, but we are all drawn together because we are all part of a soul family that's searching for truth and trying to, I know for me, give disclosure the right way to people. And that's why so many people do have ability. I recognize it on them immediately when I first see someone. So you look at me, you see me. When I first see someone, it takes about 30 seconds for it to clear before I actually see them, because I will see it happens the first time I see them and that's it. And then I'll see them regularly, but I see like their energy, their imprint, not so much their aura, but like I can see, okay, this is someone with an ability. This is what the ability is. Oh, that person is a horrific person. Don't go near them. It's just always something that I was able to do. And same thing, because our intuition is not really our intuition like in our minds. Our intuition is our spirit team, our angels, our guides, ancestors, and deceased loved ones steering us. And it's us hearing them. When they say some people, oh, they have no conscience, they have no shame. No, it's just that their spirit team probably they either are dark and don't have one, or they're not in tune enough to hear what it is. It's nothing that comes from us. It's all outer. That's amazing. I think remote viewing is one of the most fascinating things because it's something I have a really hard time doing. So when people can do it, it's so cool.
Yeah, we've had Brian on twice now, and she was.
I'm gonna have to watch that episode.
It. Yeah, there's so 2
cool.
episodes. Yeah,
Brian's a good dude. He's
that
fun.
First one though, and we can send you the news article when
Yeah, please do. I definitely want to watch it.
Yeah. All right. So you've tackled various paranormal themes, obviously, in your previous works, and curious, are there any new supernatural elements or legends you've incorporated into these books that you haven't explored before?
So there probably is that don't really stick out, but there are some things that I've looked into a tiny bit, but never kind of went back to that I'm seeing pop up more and more. So 5 years ago, the Glimmer Man or the Predator entity was like a one-off. 5 people on the internet had experiences and 3 of them were real, right? I'm seeing more and more this thing is being clocked in the woods. Also, pale crawlers, man. Those things are so terrifying. I used to think they were like a ghoul. Like there was just a new name for a ghoul. I'm starting to understand they're an entity all their own. They are vicious. They are deadly. They are demonic, but not demon. And I'm seeing more stories about them than probably anything else other than extraterrestrials. It's pale crawlers. And people aren't understanding, like, not seeing them for what they are. They're thinking they're seeing something else, like the rake or even like Wendigo. A lot of people are mistaking pale crawler for Wendigo. Those 2 entities, Predator entity and pale crawler, they have me concerned, and I'm on watch right now about them for sure.
You're saying pale crawler?
Yeah.
So what is that? What
It is a hairless humanoid being that usually is covered in dirt, reeks like rotten meat, the Bigfoot stench, I call it. Usually they have like fangs. They like zombies. Michelle was like, what was that? Kind of moan and groan as they slowly crawl, like the army crawl through your backyard and towards you. But they're super duper slow until they notice you and you notice them. And then bam, they're fast as lightning and they will come at you. It's like a horror movie, but in real life. You know how in a horror movie, they do that thing. It started with Stir of Echoes, actually, in the 90s, where they do that thing where they have the entity or the ghost, whatever it is, like shake and move really fast. And it's like a jump scare. These things actually do that. They actually do that. And I don't know. I've never met anyone who said they got like bit, or usually people can get away from them. But I do think they kill you. I do think they drain you. And I think they're the closest thing to a real blood-sucking vampire that I found.
Wow.
Okay. Gemma,
You're so sweet.
Oh, I got to take you into chat. So Shelly had asked me if she could ask me a question, and I said, sure. But this one, it's not remote viewing. It's more remote visiting, but I think there's another name for it. She said that there's a man who must be extremely good at this. He has watched her a couple times. She knows when he is there, and one time stood beside her, wanting her to help him locate something, she told him no.
Okay.
Is that remote visiting?
I got to read the comment. Because Shelly,
Okay.
I love you, girl, but you drive me crazy all the time with this kind of stuff. It's like these brain teasers. I see it. Michelle, there's a man who must be extremely good at this. He has watched me a couple of times. I know when he is there. One time stood beside me and wanted me to help him locate something. I said no. So here's the thing. It really depends. Was it a person in their astral form, or was it a spirit? I wouldn't know. Like if it's a shadow. Oh, this is a great point though. Shadow entities a lot of the times are remote viewers. They could be remote viewers. I wouldn't show up like this looking like a failed realtor in your bedroom if I wanted to spy on you. You'd probably see me in shadow, right? So Shelly, I would just be careful. Remote viewing, unless someone like accidentally came across you, normally people do that to gain like military secrets, or like if they have a show on YouTube or they pretend to remote view, or like I would say it would be more likely that it was not someone remote viewing and it was an entity or a spirit of some type. And light entities and beings, unless they are visiting you remote viewing, do not show up in darkness. So you're not going to see like your great aunt Tilly, who you loved more than anything and was a sweetheart, show up as a shadow, right? And a deceased person can't remote view. They're already in spirit. So Shelly, I would say, with as powerful as you are in your ability, next time, use your inner knowing, use your mind, or even think back and focus, and you will be able to figure out whether it was a remote viewer or an entity or a spirit. And it also depends, what did they ask you to help find, right? Because if we're looking for dead bodies here, or like a missing ring, my stepfather just passed and we can't find where he put all of his money. So like, are we looking for something like that? But I would say use your knowing, Shelly. Shelly is a wonderful, beautiful person with a lot of really strong major abilities. But Shelly, you don't trust yourself. Shelly just thinks that she's a lunatic, and it's just not true. She's just dealing with things later in life that someone like me, as she is, would normally deal with like since birth. She just randomly activated one day as a grown woman. And I'm sure that's much harder because, you've been conditioned to think that you're nuts.
Well, she said that she's pretty sure who he is and he's actually alive. I don't know, something about it, Gemma. I just think that she made a good choice by not helping.
If you know the person's alive, then yes, I would say at all costs. And I would also say, like, protect you. I don't even know how to protect myself from remote viewers, but I do have your phone number and I can look that up for you. I'll talk to, I've got someone that might know, because that's dangerous. And first of all, it's gross. Like, I'm not going to, like, for as much as I love you guys, if I choose to remote view, I'm not going to your house. It's creepy. You don't just go visit friends or like random people. Whenever I did it, I did do it for fun, but I would do it at like I said, military bases or like national parks. Like, I want to see stuff in my teenage years. I have not done it since I was 16 though, and got my butt knocked out by that other remote viewer. I was like, oh no. Because they could technically die. Like, I would just be dead in the room I was in, and nobody would understand what happened. And they'd be like, what the heck is going on? And who knows where my spirit would have went had I not been pushed back into my body. It's really dangerous.
You know what? Blue Crossroads nailed it. What I was thinking of, astral projection. That's what it is.
Yeah. Some people, like I was talking about, can remote view by astrally traveling, which is what I was doing. What you did, Michelle, was remote viewing just like in your body, in your mind, which is actually so much safer, because when you go into that astral plane, there are demonic entities. And they will jump into your body. I got jumped Friday night live on camera. I was giving a message through the oracle cards, and then all of a sudden I was talking like this, and my eyes went all blank for like 30 seconds. I don't know what it was that jumped me. I did not see it coming, but even Blue Cross Roads was like, yo, my head snapped. Your voice completely changed. I'm like, yeah, I usually protect for that. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, Shelly says call her.
Yeah, I will. I will get in contact with you.
Yeah,
Someone said something that they saw a pale crawler.
Yeah,
once,
yeah. So
horizontal on their
Taven,
chimney.
we met him just at our 100th episode get together, and he's from Lansing here, and he's been following us for forever almost. And he says he believes he saw one climbing a brick chimney and was fully horizontal, staring at him. That's creepy.
These things are really, I'm trying to think of like a horror movie that has a villain that would kind of let you guys in on like what they look like. I've done several pre-recordeds on them. I would say, like, the old Nosferatu movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's kind of what they look like. In their facial features, the big pointy ears, the complete like greenish, grayish, whitish skin. They scare me. And I mean, I've been on a quest my whole life to find real vampires, and like I need to know that they're out there. Haven't found them yet, but the pale crawler is the closest thing. I do think they drain you if they get sunken black eyes. That, oh my God. Yeah. I got the chills. I can't.
Okay. Wait a second. Wayne, is that the toy that I picked up at Best Buy yesterday? Think of the character dolls. What is the first one that I picked up?
I don't remember.
No way.
The one that Gemma just described.
No,
the vampire doll, the one with the pointy ears and the bald head.
Nosferatu.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you mean okay. So at Best Buy, they have these action figures now, right? In boxes.
I buy them for my mom. I know.
Yeah. And the one she picked up yesterday was the old Nosferatu character that you just talked about. She had it in her hands.
That was the first one I picked up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
Michelle, one of these days, you and I are going to, I want to like physically meet you and get together with you, because you have an incredible gift that I feel like if you worked with it, you could totally just bring so much more to the community in like a good way, though, like through kindness and with dignity, right? That is so crazy. I'm not surprised though. I'm not surprised with you anymore, girl. I'm just saying, like, so it's like that's just Michelle. Yeah.
For those who are in chat going, wait a second, repeat that, please. We have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So Gemma just got done mentioning the Nosferatu character, the vampire, pointy ears, bald head, kind of sunken eyes, grayish type skin. And yesterday, Wayne and I had stopped at Best Buy after dinner so that he could get his Steam card for his online gaming.
Yeah.
And I always go to Best Buy, not just for the electronics to look at them. I like the toy aisle. And went to the toy aisle, and the very first thing that I pick up is the box of the classic Nosferatu with the different.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's exactly what I picked up, because I like things like that. I like look at
the different faces you could put on it.
Classic characters. And that's exactly what I picked up at the store.
Yep. She picked that up first.
That is so. Again, though, I'm not really surprised.
I told you, sister from another mister.
Yeah, right. Yep.
So now I feel like I need to go to Best Buy to buy that damn thing.
It might be a sign. Might be a sign. I'm just saying. Can I answer Shelly's question about the difference between astral projection and remote viewing? Because I think that's kind of important, because it does kind of sound like the same thing, right? And I did have to look it up because I didn't know how to explain it. But Shelly and like everybody, really quickly, astral projection involves an individual's consciousness leaving the physical body and traveling to other realms or dimensions, right? So that's your consciousness out of your body, moving around through the realms. Remote viewing is the ability to access information about distant or unseen targets using extrasensory perception. The main difference for me is that astral travel, I go into like a meditative state or I'm sleeping, whereas remote viewing, I may go into a little bit of a meditative state, but I'm more alert. I'm alert to what's around me. Like I could, if I sat here long enough, do it and like report to you guys, what am I seeing? What are we doing? We might be able to do that one time. But with astral projection, it's your consciousness is leaving. So you are not awake. You're not aware until you come back of what is going on. Like you can't report to somebody what you're seeing or what's happening. And astral travel is really, really dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So just disclaimer, guys, don't just pick it up and do it. I did automatic writing in my stream the other night, and I knew as soon as it was going to be Satan, something saying that it was the devil, and it was. I'm like, who is this? They're like, oh, Satan. I'm like, oh, that's great, Satan. Go F yourself. Everyone's like, how are you not afraid? I'm like, because I know that it's not actually Satan. It's just a spirit passing through that wants to have some fun.
Yeah. All right. So Shelly says, ask Gemma if she's heard of. I thought it was a teenager with a long sweatshirt and hood, except it had no legs and didn't even notice or look at me in a hurry.
Yeah, it was probably just passing through. You see a lot of stuff though, Miss Shelley. We got to talk privately because I know you have so much going on. But with summer, I'm telling you guys, my son goes back to school on September 3rd. That is next Tuesday. I love him. Oh, I can't wait for school. I can't wait for school to start. I need to get back to work.
Yeah. All right, just a couple other questions, Gemma, and this is kind of selfish on my part. I want to talk to you a little bit, and probably this will be a good little primer for what Michelle will probably want you to talk to her class about some of this stuff. But so for our quote unquote listeners, I'm a listener. I'm listening to you. So who might be aspiring authors, do you have any tips on creating a compelling paranormal narrative or conducting research into mysterious subjects?
Yeah, so the one thing I would say, I'm not good with fiction, right? So for me, it's all nonfiction. I can write fiction, but I always end up with plot holes. So with nonfiction, I think the main thing for me that I would impress upon anyone is to make sure your facts are correct. When you're talking about, let's say, mysterious disappearances, you want to do the members of that family that are surviving, you want to do them right should they ever pick up this book. You don't want them, as best as you can, to leave being like, oh, she got that wrong or this was wrong. So in one of my videos, I had a family member literally tell me like I was stupid, I got everything wrong, and I felt so horrible that I ended up taking one of my videos down. The main point is to get your facts straight, make sure you have it as factually accurate as possible. But if you're looking into something like the BEK, or just evil encounters, like my second book, Encounters with Evil, shadow entities, etc., even if you have to look online, look on YouTube, email me, you have to protect yourself because you don't realize you're drawing this stuff in. But the more you research the darkness, it does come, and you'll find yourself, even if nothing is with you, under spiritual attack, the depression, the anger, nastiness, you'll change. Who said it? Nietzsche, as if you stare long enough into the abyss will stare back at you. And it really is true. And I want everyone to really know that. Write a great book, write a great story. If you're passionate about it, you can't do wrong. Get your facts straight, be passionate, be respectful and kind, and always protect yourself. Don't ever like call anything in and be like, if you're here, give me a sign. Like, don't, just stick to the facts if you're doing something that needs to be factual, because you don't ever want an already hurt parent of a 3-year-old that went missing to be more hurt by your words,
Right. Yeah. And I just want to point out this comment from ICU. It says, wow, going to really start checking out lives. Can't believe this is better than TV. And that's awesome. Thank you very much.
I was going to say, we always have a good time with Gemma.
Yeah.
I go off on tangents. You guys let me. I have to run to the bathroom. It's right there. So I'll be right back. I'm sorry. I drank a whole Red Bull. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. She was drinking a Red Bull to get, pumped up for the show.
I remember the days of drinking Red Bulls
Well, I remember the days of when we would take like a 3-minute break just so, because some of these shows will go.
Well, and I know that we're wrapping up soon because you need to get some sleep for tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Me, I still have to get up early. I've got to go in and finish setting up my classroom. Got meetings in the morning.
Well, the first couple of weeks as a teacher of school, I'm going to tell you, it goes pretty fast, especially with the 4-day break, with the weekend, and then we have Friday and Monday off. It goes pretty fast.
The first couple weeks, when I say that it sucks the life out of you, there is no joke. Getting back into the habit of, wrangling 150, 160 middle schoolers, at least for me.
Yeah.
So,
well, Gemma will be right back, everybody. She just had to do a break to the bathroom, so that's fine.
We're just going to sit here and BS about work for a moment until Gemma gets back.
Yep, she'll be right back.
I look forward to having her on a Zoom call with my creative writing class. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do something different with that project. I've done sci-fi stories, but I wanted to open it up because I know that I've got kids that want to write, like either true crime or, as long as it has the element of suspense, they're good.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and bring her back on. So Gemma's back.
I'm just honored listening because when I was a little kid, the only thing I ever wanted to do was write books and teach. And my best subject was always English, spelling, creative writing. My life took a different path. But when you asked me that, my heart was like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. Like I'm now considered like a professional in my field and
a best-selling author.
Not going to cry, but as I'm honored, I really am, and I can't wait. That's going to be so cool.
No,
I
and
will
it looks
sure that I am on point for them.
It does look like I have a really good group. Like I said, it's a small group because when it comes to ELA electives, the two classes I've told them not to use as a dumping ground is creative writing and mythology. They have to be interested in it in order to be placed in that class.
Mythology, that sounds pretty awesome too.
Oh, I love that class.
That is so
she's
cool.
got some good classes this year.
Yeah, well,
it's more natural for people to show an interest in our community, and that's really, really good. But it can be bad too if it's not cultivated the right way. So I really actually appreciate that you're doing that for these kids because who knows if someone had done that for me, my life would have ended up differently. But I've always wanted to teach. I wanted to write, model, teach, and work for the FBI. I was going to do all those things and more, but my one side of the family, they called me snitch for wanting to work for the FBI to the point where I decided I didn't want to work for them anymore. I'm from a line of criminals, guys. I mean, I can't, what can I say?
Yeah. Know the feeling.
I'm a diamond in the rough.
Since your last appearance on the podcast, how has your approach to writing or your understanding of the paranormal evolved?
That is a great question. So my approach to writing, that's a great question. My approach to writing is still basically the same, but I use my voice more. So I write now as I speak. I'm not afraid to, in the middle of a sentence, say, my spirit guide told me XYZ, if it's appropriate, or I don't talk about visits from the deceased again, because I want to toe that line of respect for the family. Maybe they don't believe in it. Sure. But for me, I definitely allow my voice in now. It's not like very like this. It's always like, oh, there she is. There's Gemma. You'll know I wrote it if you've ever had a conversation with me. That's changed. I'm very confident in who I am and in the information that I have now. And, I deliver it my very special way. And what was the second part of that question? My understanding of the supernatural, did you say?
Yeah, your understanding of the paranormal. How's that evolved?
Well, my ideas and understandings of things are always evolving because I'll get information and take it one way and think one thing, and then it'll turn out to be a whole different thing. And it's not that I received the wrong information, it's that I interpreted it the wrong way. So I would say, for example, let me give you a good example here. And I'm not afraid to come out and say, oh no, I said this, 6 months ago, I was wrong about that. There are a lot of things, particularly I believe with like ETs, I would talk about how the Greys, I always believed that the Greys were like us, but they got so engulfed in technology and this and that. I realize now that a lot of the extraterrestrial experimentation, they were never like us. They're completely different beings. And a lot of the experimentation on the negative side has to do with our soul. They want to know what that is. What is that? How did it, it's very evil. There's a lot of things I've said in the past that I've had to come and say, oh no, I was wrong about that. It's ever evolving as I ask more questions, as I learn, as I grow. My spirit team doesn't just give me the answers to everything. A lot of stuff they'll be like, that's not for you to know. It's not your time. So I guess like that, as information comes in and I just take it and do what I do and transmute it as best as I can. And I think that's a really good point though, is that like, don't be afraid to put it out there. As long as if you're wrong, you can admit that you're wrong. I think that's how people get like bad raps in this community, because they're afraid that if they get something wrong, that they're going to be shunned or something. The right people will come to you. But the knowledge of the supernatural, there's always new beings, there's always new things that I'm seeing. I'm going out and I'm seeing like a pale crawler, like, what is that? It's like that YouTube short. What is that? Girl, what is that? Like this happens to me on a weekly basis, which is why I don't leave my house. More beings are crossing through. More beings are being summoned. If you think about the history of the world, right? Witchcraft in the woods and girls at slumber parties or kids at slumber parties playing with Ouija boards. They're all opening portals, guys, that are not being closed. You can't actively see it. And people wonder why the world is overrun with evil. Well, the reason is portals have been opened since time immemorial, or immemorial, however you say it, with people experimenting. The spiritualist movement did so much damage to like our reality. It's not even funny. It grows and evolves, and I try to grow and evolve with it. And again, do not be afraid to admit when you're wrong. It really is a huge deal, because otherwise you just like look like a liar or an a-hole.
Yeah, and just so people are clear, there is very good evidence that people like Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons were doing this on the behalf of the government and making contacts with certain entities to help build their war machine, right? I mean, lots of people talk about them and Lamb, what was the creature's name? Lamb, I think Lam.
Yes.
That Crowley got in contact with, and but they're out in the desert having, summoning circles and seances and contacting. So if these people who are the head of our rocket programs and a very well-known magus, black magus, whatever you call Crowley, because he was so out there, but if they're thinking there's something to this, there's something to this. So I mean,
there's one thing I'd recommend. It's like the most truest stuff I've come across in probably my entire life. So it's called Unified TV, UNIFYD. It's $15.99 a month, but they have either a 3 or 7 day free trial. Get that free trial. Watch the Pyramid Code. That guy Ray is a jerk. He comes off like an a-hole, but I'm telling you, everything he said lined exactly up with information I've gotten from Spirit, that I've gotten from ETs. He's not wrong, guys. When he talks about the psychopaths and the underground tunnels, and people think when you see, it's like on The Simpsons or something, when a reptilian takes over a government entity, it's a reptile walking around in a suit and tie. That's not it. They vibrate. They bring themselves to our reality. They interact somehow with the person, and they start vibrating at the same vibration that the person they're overtaking is vibrating. They're not actually in the person's skin. They're vibrating to a way that they look like that person to us. And I'm not going to get into too many like conspiracy theories or anything like that. But when we talk about things like Illuminati, when we talk about celebrities possibly being taken over, guys, I just wouldn't dismiss it right from jump. That's all I'll say. Is it always true? No, things are crazy. But you have to think about thousands and thousands of years of people opening portals and not realizing they're doing it.
Yep. And
There's
just
a cover that scares you.
yeah, I hate that cover so bad. But
Sleep paralysis.
yeah, just so people that are new to the show or maybe new to Gemma, all you got to do is head on over to Amazon, and in the search screen or the search field, type in Gemma Jade books.
Yes.
Here you will find. Now, she's been hard at work. I mean, look at this. There's the Campfires 3, Danger at Your Door, Black Eyed Kids, Gone, that's volume 3, Gone volume, I think that's 1 right there, yeah. Book 1 of 3. There's volume 2. Look at all this that she's put out there to try to help educate and get information out there to people. And she says she always wanted to be a teacher. Well, there you go. She's teaching people through her books.
I hope I do. And they're on Audible as well. They're on Kindle. They're on the paperback. So I had one more thing I wanted to say, and I can't remember now. It'll come to me.
I think at some point we need to do a show, though. You mentioned Ouija board. We need to do like a show of like some of the oddest stories that we know of.
And
about
even
Ouija boards. I mean, I actually have a couple, but it's getting late into the night, so I'm gonna hold those stories.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you, like, my Ouija experience now, I've learned how to protect myself. I did schooling online. I am a Christian, but I'm also a witch. I'm a natural born witch, and I did a year's worth of schooling to get like high priestess status. Now that that's happened and I've come into my gifts and abilities and I don't take any poop off any spirit, my Ouija board will only go to goodbye. I can't do anything with it anymore. And to me, that tells me that the board I have is attached to something very negative that knows that it can't manipulate or control me in any way.
Okay. Yeah.
No, Wayne, I think at some point, because I just think of that one family member that used to have not only that pentagram circle, but I have a story from my childhood about a Ouija board. So,
yep. All right. So lastly, Gemma, before we take off out of here, what can we expect from you next? Are there any upcoming projects or themes you're excited to explore in the future?
Yes, that's actually, you reminded me of what I was going to say as you went through my books. So the publishing company I used to work with, again, I disconnected just because I wanted to try self-publishing and make more money off my books. They picked like 5 authors out of hundreds, and I was so honored to be chosen. I am going to be, come September 3rd, when I have full-time again, working on an intuitive journal. So what I'm going to do with this journal is you're going to, if you purchase it, write most of it. Every day there's going to be a different prompt that is going to be leading you up to being able to fully, completely, and totally connect with your guides and your intuition and following those things from day to day. Do I go left or do I go right? You know you're supposed to go right, but left looks pretty good. You follow and go to the right anyway, because that is what your intuition is telling you. If we could all learn to do that, if we learned to do that as kids, we would all have amazing, beautiful lives. We'd all be millionaires if that's what we want. We'd have, whatever we want, we can have. It's within our grasp. We have to always follow our intuition. And a lot of times it's hard because it'll tell us the person we love is, needs to be loved. We need to leave them, or we're not, achieving our purpose. So I'm trying to do this guided journal where there's no meditation involved. It's simply you listening to my prompt, reading my prompt, and writing down your reaction to it after you've tried the exercise of connection. And that is what I'm working on next. I'm also Gone and Campfire Stories are doing so well that there's going to be a volume 4 of each of those. And I want to write a longer book, like the BEK book. It took me like a year to write. I'm researching different kinds of, I don't know what to call them, like pale crawlers, glimmerman. They're not cryptids, I guess entities. And I also want to do a funny little cryptid cookbook. So it'll be like my meatball recipe, but you can use, I'll say like you need Bigfoot meat or substitute with ground beef, like something cute like that, like Wendigo waffles or something. These are all ideas in my head, but the guided journal is coming soon. And you can find every single one of my books on Audible, on Amazon Kindle paperback. There will soon be hyperlinks in the Audible books for each and every story that'll lead you back to my channel and me narrating. Please go to my channel, The shorts that I do are for entertainment purposes only. They usually don't have to do with the paranormal. I'm just trying to be funny or cute or sarcastic. That's where I really shine. And I have pre-recorded videos that come out every week, not this week, but starting September 3rd again. And I'm just doing my thing, guys. Go check out past interviews, Spotify. I'm all over there on all different interviews. I'll be at Paraunity. I believe it's November 2nd through 4th. And hit me up, GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com if you have any questions, concerns, comments, suggestions, encounters, right? Because Campfire Stories is listener encounters basically on steroids. And I know y'all love that. So thank you guys so much for coming in and hanging out. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. It's just Gemma Jade. I think someone put the link. And anyone who's bought my books or donated to anyone who supported me in any way, financially or otherwise, I do really appreciate it. I see you guys. I see you. And I think you guys rock. And Michelle and Wayne, please keep in touch with me. Anytime y'all want to do this, I am all over it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that, Gemma. Thank you for joining us tonight. And as always, it's always a great show to have you on. So we can't get enough Gemma, and I have linked in the chat. So, and I will put the link to Gemma's YouTube channel in the show description once the show is all done here and everything. So people can find you. But all right. Well, Gemma, I think we were going to have a quick talk here for a minute backstage. So hang tight. So let me get you back to the green room. Boom. All right, Michelle. I got a very squeaky mic arm tonight, man.
Kind of like my voice.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, guys. I'm going to talk to this guy next to me about doing a future show, our next show with Gemma down the road. And I'm sure we'll talk about other things too. But I want to talk about some of those creepy tales about Ouija boards.
Okay.
And I have two stories.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely.
That I can tell.
All right, everybody. Remember, if you want to send us an email, send us your stories, comments, concerns, you can always email us at mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment after the show is done. I will be releasing this in audio form tomorrow sometime, probably in the evening, once I get home from work and scratch my head about all the weird things that happened at work
His
on the first day of school.
In the universe.
Yeah, as I start to contemplate life. But anyways,
number 42.
With that being said, we're at 1 hour and 56 minutes. Michelle, I think it's that time.
Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night, everybody. And remember, keep those eyes to that
sky.
That's right. Now I can never find the button again.